What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, beefy, dried, weird-looking, amazing South African dried sausage. Coming up. This is some meat. Pat them dry. And what I've got here is a couple chunks of some lean brisket. Not too much intramuscular fat in there. A little bit of fat cap on there, but we'll trim this off. And I've also got some hard fat from a recent brisket trim in the fridge that I'll add a little bit later, but this should work out perfectly for what we're doing today. And that's because today we're making a South African dried sausage called droivas, or at least I think that's how it's pronounced. But this is how it's spelled, so I'm just gonna do my best with that one. Or maybe just keep calling it South African dried sausage. And this is a video that's been requested in the comments section for years, especially ever since I did that biltong video a few years back, which is another South African dried meat treat, and is absolutely incredible. You should definitely check out that video if you haven't already. But droivas is the same flavor profile, except in sausage form, for yet another delicious dried meat snack. But I am a little bit nervous about this one because in all the research and reading I've done about droivas, there's no pink salt involved, which is a little bit concerning because it's essentially an all beef sausage with some vinegar and some coriander and other spices in there, stuffed into a sheep casing that's then hung at room temperature for 3-4 days, or in a biltong box, or in a dry ager, or something like that. But anytime you're hanging meat at room temp for a couple days, it's a pretty good idea to have pink curing salt in there so we don't form botulism or any other bad bacteria. But everything I've read tells me that there's no cure in this recipe, and we're relying on the vinegar and the antimicrobial bacteria qualities of coriander. So we're just gonna hope for the best on this one. But if you are making this at home and you're a little more squeamish, you could probably throw some pink curing salt in there. Just don't tell the South Africans because they get pretty loud if you mess up their food. And just like any recipe with any cultural significance, there are a million ways to go about doing this. And no matter how you do it on the internet, you're gonna be wrong for someone, which means you can basically do whatever you want. But one thing is for sure that this is an all beef sausage, although you could make it out of game if you want. But first things first, I'm gonna get this brisket cubed up and take this fat cap off so we can really dial in a good meat to fat ratio. And just like that, all cubed up, got a 70-30 meat to fat ratio on this beef. So now I'm gonna set this aside while we get all of our spices ready. Starting out by toasting our spices. So into a hot dry pan, I'm gonna go in with a whole bunch of some coriander seeds, some black peppercorns, and 3 or 4 cloves. And just give these a quick little dry toast until they smell fragrant and you start seeing little wisps of smoke. Does not take long, but you wanna keep them moving to make sure that nothing burns. But that smells really good already. And once those are toasted off, into a spice grinder we go. Try not to lose any. Beautiful. And get that all ground up. Ooh. And then into a container here, I'm gonna go in with some Worcestershire sauce, some malt vinegar. I believe they use brown vinegar over there, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Some kosher salt, all of the spices we just ground up, and probably about half a nut of some nutmeg. And give that a nice little whisk until everything is combined and that salt is dissolved. It smells really good. And now we're gonna add all our liquids and our spices to the meat. Make sure you get it all out of there. And get that all mixed up, making sure everything is evenly dispersed and all the meat is evenly coated. Looking good. And now I'm gonna park a lid on this and stick it in the fridge for the next few hours to let that salt kind of penetrate the meat, all those spices hydrate, and the vinegar and the Worcestershire sauce will start to kill the bacteria on the meat while letting all those flavors develop. So I'm gonna park this in the fridge for probably 3 or 4 hours, but you could also go overnight if you want. So it's been like 6 or 7 hours on this meat, and that's a little longer than anticipated, but I got distracted, and honestly, I don't mind having the extra time. And if we look at it, all the spices and the vinegar really got sucked into that meat, and it's looking pretty cured already, which is a good thing. Making me feel a little bit more confident in this recipe. But I also came through every hour or so and kind of tossed it all around to make sure everything was getting evenly distributed. And then about 45 minutes ago, I popped it into the freezer to make sure it is in fact nice and cold so we can grind it up, which is in fact the next step. Got the old coarse die on there for a nice chunky grind. And we're gonna go ahead and send this through one time. Beautiful grind on that, nice and clean, nice and pebbly, no fat smearage or anything like that. And it's smelling really good. It smells a lot like biltong, honestly. And just looking at it, it's got a really deep red color to it, and it really does look like it's been cured. Pretty cool. So now we case it up. And it's at this stage, usually in most sausages, that I'd go through and really mix this up to get all that protein extraction that we're after for a nice, tight, snappy bind. But that's not really the case when it comes to these South African dried meat sticks, because it's a pretty loose, kind of pebbly sausage when it's dried up at the end of the day. And also, I was watching Eric's video from Two Guys in a Cooler when he did a Drovas video, and he was saying that the vinegar kind of inhibits protein extraction anyway, so there's really no point in trying to mix it up. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a mix, get it to come together a little bit better, but mostly to make sure that fat is evenly distributed throughout the links. And after a light mixing, into the stuffer we go. No binders or anything like that today, no added liquid other than what's already in there. So a pretty unique sausage. And on we go with some sheep casings. These are 22 to 24 mils, I believe, and hopefully they cooperate with me today. These can tend to be a pain in the butt to work with, but we're just gonna slowly stroke it on our smallest horn, inch by inch. God, this thing is huge. Well, long. Tie it off. Snip the tip. And now we case away. And the other unique part about these sausages is that they're not cased really tight, which is great for a beginner because this is kind of the hardest part, is getting that tension right on these. So they are in fact nice and plump. And every sausage I've made for the last 10 years has in fact been nice and plump. But these are packed a little bit looser. So we're gonna try for that today. And I think that's just to help out with the drying process a little bit, but these are looking pretty tight. So I gotta work on my loose casing abilities here. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good recipe for beginners, except for the whole, drying at room temperature thing, because you don't have to worry about binders, you don't have to worry about mixing it so you get that proper protein extraction, and also casing it is a lot more forgiving. So I'm just going to kind of get some air pockets in there and just let it kind of come off the horn naturally. Till we got something that looks like that. Very weird seeing air pockets. I never see air pockets in my sausage because they go link by link, but that's how they do it apparently. But another thing is I don't think they link them up very often. Usually it's just one big rope and they kind of stretch it out and dehydrate it that way. But the way I'm going to be dehydrating these in my room upstairs, it's going to be a lot easier if these are in link form. And when they're more uniform, it'll be easier to store them and all that stuff. So that's what I'm doing today, but you can do this however you like. So I'm going to be doing them in links of 4 just like that. Pretty happy with this first batch. Also, the nice thing about casing them a little bit looser is makes these sheep casings a little bit easier to work with because they tend to pop quite a bit. So not trying to stuff them to maximum plumpness. It's actually gonna work out in our benefit. It's like the South Africans took everything that's annoying about sausage and did the opposite. It made an awesome meat snack. I'm here for it. But now we're gonna continue to case these up and pop one immediately. Shouldn't have said that. Always happens like that, folks, always does. And just like that, all cased up, looking absolutely beautiful, if I do say so myself. Very happy with how these came out. Good amount of fat in there, meat's looking nice and red. Plump, but not too plump. Probably will go through and prick some big old air pockets if I see them, which again, I usually don't have to do, and I don't have a sausage pricker, so hopefully this Thermapen is sharp enough. Oh yeah, there we go. Just kind of poke these a little bit. But now I'm gonna hang these up and begin the drying process, and we'll check back in and see how they look tomorrow. This video is brought to you by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep makes premium quality mattresses and bedding customized to fit your needs, conveniently shipped right to your door. And as we head into fall and the weather finally starts cooling down, having a cozy, warm bed is of the utmost importance, especially after watching a couple of spooky movies. And Helix has you covered no matter what kind of mattress you're after. You can simply go to their website and take the sleep quiz, where you enter your weight, your height, your sleeping preferences, and basic information, and you'll be paired with a perfect mattress for you. I took the quiz with Brooke like 4 years ago, and we were matched with the Helix Sleep Dusk Luxe mattress, and it is by far the best mattress I've ever had. And there's a reason I keep partnering with Helix Sleep on these videos, because I genuinely love their products. The mattress is super comfy, it's definitely improved my sleep, and I'm not alone on that. 82% of participants saw an improvement in their deep sleep cycle, according to Helix's Wesper study, and after all these years, that mattress is still just as comfortable now as the day we got it. It's not showing any signs of sagging or anything like that. I'm sleeping through the night, and we got the Glaciotex cooling cover on there, so in the hot summers, I don't get too hot, which is very nice. And the convenience factor cannot be understated. It comes in a very reasonable sized box, making it super easy to get up a flight of stairs, and then you break the vac seal, watch it come back to life in a matter of seconds, and it's a lot easier than trying to lug around a king-size mattress. Plus, they have a 100-night sleep trial, so you can test out the mattress and make sure you love it. So if you're looking to get the best mattress of your life, click my link in the description box of this video, or scan the QR code on screen now to check out Helix Sleep and take advantage of their fall savings event, which is 20% off site-wide. Again, click my link down below or scan the QR code to take advantage of the fall savings event, which is 20% off site-wide. Thank you, Helix Sleep. It is the next day. Our sausages have been drying overnight right in that bedroom right up there, which is where I do a lot of my sausage drying experiments because it's a pretty low traffic area of the house. I can shut the door so there's no dogs or cats trying to get after it. There's no insects or anything in there. In that room, it's a pretty consistent 75 degrees, around 40 to 50% humidity, which is pretty good conditions for drying sausage. But again, if you don't have a room like that or you don't want to hang sausages in your house, you could go ahead and make yourself a biltong box. Talked about that earlier. You can look that up on YouTube. There's plenty of instructions on how to do that. Or if you had a dry ager or a curing cabinet or something, that would work out great as well. But I've done this several times in the past and had great results. And so far, these are looking really nice. Definitely changed color, darkening up a little bit. Casings feel nice and dry, and we're starting to lose moisture. And so far, no bad smells, no mold or anything like that, but it's only been overnight. And how long you let this go is completely up to you. I think around 4 or 5 days is typical. So I'm going to check on it every day, except for tomorrow, because we have a sausage making class down at the Chud shop, and I'm probably going to forget. But probably around day 3 or 4, I'll start squeezing it, feeling for moisture. I did label one of them with the weight, so I can weigh it to see how much weight loss we achieved. And I think around 40 to 50% weight loss is usually what you're after with a dried sausage like this. But I'm mostly going to go by feel. I want it to be dry but not hard, just like any other snack stick I've made on the channel. So for now, I'm just going to let them hang out up there, keep an eye on them, make sure none of them are touching each other or anything like that, and let the drying process continue. So I guess we'll check back in on those in a couple days. 4 days and 1 beard trim later, our sausage is done. And they're definitely looking nice and dry. And it's not 4 days since I've seen you last. It's 4 days of drying total. I made these on Thursday and now it's Monday. And honestly, I'm kind of impressed with how dry they are. I made snack sticks in the past and I remember it taking like a week or even longer to dry out, but these ones are definitely there. And I did weigh one of these beforehand and I weighed it just now and it's lost about 45% of its water weight. But mostly I'm just going by feel, where I want it to have a little bit of give to it and not be too hard, but also be dried out and not super fresh or squishy in the middle. And they do look pretty gnarly. They definitely look like little turds and they're probably off-putting to some people, but this is what they're supposed to look like. They're supposed to get nice and dark, supposed to be a little bit dried out, shrank up a little bit, and they're feeling great. No weird smells or anything like that, so I think we are safe as far as that is concerned. But now, I need to get these all snipped apart. And there we go, all snipped up, and honestly, I think they're pretty cool looking, you know? Whenever you see a dried sausage hanging in a butcher shop or on the shelf or something, you're like, how do they make that? And there's always something so satisfying about making your own dried sausage from scratch. And it was a really easy process. Pretty good looking pile of some meat sticks. Let me know in the comments below if you would try this or if it's too dark and weird looking for you. But for now, I think it's time to see how these came out. I know I said I was a little weary about eating an uncured dried sausage, but now that I'm looking at them, smelling them, feeling them, I'm pretty confident that everything went according to plan. But let's go ahead and snap into this. Ooh, looks juicy. Interesting. It smells really good. All right, room temp sausage. Let's go for it. Ooh, oh, that is lovely. Very juicy. All that fat content in there. Right off the bat, very reminiscent of biltong, which makes sense. It's a very similar process, but much different texture, you know? Very snappy, good amount of dryness on there. And again, you can make this as dry as you want. You could pull these off earlier if you want one that's a little less dried out, a little less hard. You could let these go for another 3-4 days if you like. Really up to you, but that's kind of the beauty about making a big batch, is I'll be able to eat these over the next few days and kind of figure out where I want it to be. But right off the bat, I'm liking day 4. That was very tasty. Tender too. That is just a very pleasant bite. Definitely no off flavors. The juiciness from that high fat content, I did not see coming. I mean, it makes sense, but that's fantastic. And judging by the amount of coriander we put in these, I figured it'd be a lot more potent. It's there, but it's a little more subtle in the background. And I'm also picking up on that nutmeg and that clove, a little bit of warming spice, not too salty or anything like that. That's a good snack. That's kind of the texture I'm going for, where it's firm, but it's got some give in the middle, not fully dried out. Brooke, you want to try one?
I'm scared.
It's weird looking.
The whole video is just, we try something weird.
It's not weird.
Okay, what is this?
It's just a beef sausage that I hung upstairs for a few days.
Is that safe?
Yeah. Theoretically.
Yeah, that high pitch, yeah, doesn't convince me.
Yeah, there's no curing salts in there, which makes me a little nervous, but
Ugh.
you know, it's beef. Beef you can eat raw anyway.
True, okay, but it's almost my birthday and I really don't, like, I feel like I would be the one to get poisoning.
Well, the science here is it's got a lot of vinegar and Worcestershire sauce in it, so if you think about how vinegar kind of cooks food, like ceviche style,
yeah,
that's what kind of knocked out all the potential pathogens here, but
Does
yeah.
it smell weird?
No, it doesn't smell.
Okay, give me a coin, a tiny coin. I don't think it's for me.
Pretty juicy though, right?
Yeah.
For how dried out it is because of that fat
Surprisingly,
content.
yes. What are those spices?
That's coriander, little nutmeg, a little bit of clove.
Okay, yeah. I can definitely taste the clove. It almost feels a little seasonal, like holiday.
I mean, the warming spices will do that.
Yeah.
But no off flavors, right?
No, I didn't taste any off flavors.
Honestly, I think you could use a little more salt.
Well, you always think that.
Yeah, which is interesting because I did 2% salt and then we removed a bunch of water, but so it should be even saltier. Maybe my palate's just blown out.
Well, that one's for Penelope.
Now it actually is a dog treat. So you're gonna eat all these for dinner tonight?
No.
Not for you?
No, I'm gonna have a chicken Caesar salad wrap.
I'm gonna eat a bunch of this. I honestly did not expect her to actually try that. The power of the camera. But yeah, she's not a big fan of gristle or big fatty bites, so I could see why she didn't like it, but I think it's really good. And now I'm sitting here thinking that this is a cooking show, and we literally did zero cooking other than the acid on the meat, so I apologize for that. But honestly, I know it's probably blasphemous, but a little bit of smoke on these would go a long way. But I'm not trying to piss off the South Africans again. I did a video a while back where I made biltong, and I compared it to beef jerky because that's the only thing Americans can really compare it to. And it took them about a year to find that video, but they found it a couple months ago, and they have been ripping me a new one ever since, even though I explained it in the video that I know they're different things. So now I'm tempted to make this video titled South African Slim Jims. I won't do that. Probably. But all in all, I'd call that a successful first test run at making some Richard Dreyfuss South African dried sausages. Sorry about the pronunciation. And it's a really cool technique, you know? Very few ingredients, pretty quick process, worked out really well. And if you're up for it, I think it's a really great sausage to make for beginners because we don't have to worry about mixing it super hard. Don't have to worry about protein extraction and plumpness and binders and all that sort of stuff because we cased it pretty loose as well, which is like the hardest part of sausage making to get right. So highly recommend it. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, probably because we didn't mix it so hard like any other sausage because we couldn't get a good bind due to the vinegar, that's probably why these dried out in 4 days as opposed to like a week and a half like another sausage I've made. Interesting. Also, we cased it looser, so there's probably air pockets inside the sausage as well. Interesting technique. I might have to keep that around for other versions of little dried sausages like this. But before I go ahead and knock out a couple more of these, I think it's time for the official taste test. Ooh. All right, y'all, and that is how to make some dried South African sausage, aka drovers. I highly recommend giving this one a try. You know, it's a very tasty snack. I'm glad I made a bunch of that. We'll probably burn through that pretty quick down at the old Chud shop. It's nice to have another dried meat snack on hand, and especially one that's this easy to make. And to all the South Africans, if you're watching, let me know how I did down below. And also if there's any other variations of this that I should try, because I think it's a pretty cool technique, and I want to dive into some different flavor profiles or different techniques, or see how far the dried sausage hole goes. But definitely something I'll be making again very soon. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Team Chud members. Thank you for supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside or dry something inside. Peace.